Hi, I'm Gabriel Perez, and this is the Dad Schooler YouTube channel. And this channel focuses on fathers leading their home schools. And what homeschool is life. So that's everything under the homeschool umbrella. That is family, parenting, and marriage. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'd like to encourage you to hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into this video. Hi, and welcome to the Dad Schooler podcast. I am your host, Gabriel Perez, and in this episode, we're going to talk about contentment, how to have it if you don't, and how to learn it, because it is something that we have to learn. And if this is the first time listening, hi, my name is Gabriel Perez. I am a husband, father of 3 kids. My wife and I both work full-time jobs, and we both partner together in homeschooling our children. And so with that, let's dive into this episode. So I want to talk about contentment. And I really wanted to get into this because I realized that I struggle with it. I struggle with being content in my circumstances and conditions of my home. And really what contentment is being satisfied with what you have instead of complaining about what you don't have. Being content, being satisfied. And even though your expectations aren't met. And it's something that I really realized in my day-to-day of coming home and just doing homeschool, that it's something I struggle with. It's something that I'm wondering, you pray for contentment, like, Lord, help me to be content in all that I have and every blessing that there is. But is it just something that people have, or is it something that people have to get? And I actually found that it is something that people have to learn. Paul says in the Bible that, I have to learn to be content. I have to learn it. So that's promising right there, is that if you're not content in your circumstances, you can learn it. And I think it's a skill we must learn as fathers, because not everything is going to meet our expectations, and expectations can be dangerous in and of themselves. And so contentment is going to be what serves us to better serve our family, to be the examples that our kids need, because a kid needs to learn to be content. Our children need to learn that they can't have all the things that they want. Their demands cannot be met, that their expectations, they may have expectations of always going out to the grocery store and getting a toy or something. I know I put that in my kids because I love buying toys. You want to make them happy, right? So you go out and you buy them toys, and then that's their expectation. Oh, we're going to go buy a toy. We're going to go buy a toy. And then when you tell them no, it's what? Their world is shattered. Then they're angry. Then they're demanding. And it's learning to live within the limits. It's learning to take a no and accepting that. And so as fathers, we have to look at that and be like, okay, when I come home, sometimes we have expectations of what the house should look like. And so when I come home, I know that I have an expectation of, I'm working on it. So I'm learning to be content because I'm working on I'm working on being okay with the house not looking great when I come home. Because for me, when the house isn't great, if I always feel the need that I have to jump in, or I have to start doing that, and then everything else gets pushed off. Homeschool gets pushed off. And so even the relationship with my children or family gets pushed off, because instead of me coming home and being content with the situation at hand, I'm already altering it by like, no, I can't live this way. I'm demanding more of my children at this point. I'm saying, okay, kids, let's get to cleaning. Where are you at with this? Let's do this and this and this and this. And yes, things need to get done as a home. As parents, we have to have things getting done. I mean, that's our whole role, is to be guides in that. But we lose out also in the relationship. We lose out in the just coming home and just, what if I just came home and just sat with my kids in the mess? I just enjoyed all that was around me, and I wasn't bothered by it that it's a mess. And I just come in and enjoy and say, how was your day? How are things going? And I think if we did that as fathers, we can enjoy the moments with our kids. We don't have to get straight into drill sergeant mode. If that's you, you might be totally content with a mess and like, yeah, don't bother me at all. But then there's maybe something else. So we got to look into our own lives and where it starts, where the content is. And that's one for me. Because then I miss just asking my kids, hey, how was your day? What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? And so I think we can do that a better job as dads. And this is speaking for myself. And hopefully speaking to you fathers out there who are struggling with that as well. Because I don't think it's just me out there. I think we all struggle with that in some shape or form. So contentment is learning to live within your limits. And let's kind of dive into something about how you're able to learn it. Because sometimes we think it's maybe as part of a personality. Like I know some people who seem to be really content with where they're at. And they just have that gracious heart. They have that, they're happy with no matter what. And is that something that's just a part of their personality, or is it something that they've learned? And I would say it's something that they've learned. Because the reality is contentment resides in a person's heart. And it's the ability to live within limits and have peace inside even when our expectations aren't met. And that's the reality of it. Because if you can find peace in those things, it's going to serve you better. I can find peace when I learn to just be with my children instead of making them do all these to-do lists going down the line. And so how we can apply that is whatever makes you content, whatever are discontent, dive in there and learn to just be in that moment, to find peace within that chaos. I think it's important because then we can, when you're going through it, you're learning, okay, this is where I'm at and this is where I can learn to find peace. Another way is, maybe your living situations, maybe the money, you don't make enough money. Homeschool is tough. And sometimes it's also tough because sometimes it means one parent can only work. We're blessed that both of us can work, but that's not the case with all homeschool. So then they survive on one income, and that makes it tough. And it's hard to be content with the situation you have financially, but we can learn. We can learn to be content. We can have that hope and that, it's, even though we don't feel this way now, we can work towards it. And so just recognizing it, just saying, you know what, I'm not content with what I'm at, where I'm at. And that's something that we can really check our heart in, because it is a heart issue. So where is it coming from? And is it coming from something deeper? Is it coming from, your past or a moment when maybe as a kid you went without? So therefore you don't want to be without as an adult. So you've harbored this in your heart, and now it's coming out in life. And I think as fathers, as leaders, when we recognize that and we learn to set limits within ourselves, we learn to set limits for our children, we can all be a little more gracious and with where we're at. And ultimately, this is to show our children. Dads, we have to recognize in ourselves before we can model it to our children. We have to deal with our heart issues before we can deal with our children's heart issues. And I think it's important because as fathers, we can teach these things to our kids. And when you're in the homeschool arena, you're going to need content hearts. You're going to need gracious hearts of kids that living within limits, and they're not always expecting this and expecting that, and then getting to the stage where everything is a demand, and then they're not happy, and you're dealing with their emotional outbursts. And then sometimes we can, that changes everything. And so we can work on it in our hearts, and then we can model it for our kids and set the limits for our kids so that they know how to accept a no. Because I think as we grow up into the world, I've realized that I didn't have a healthy response to accepting no. There's things that I knew there were no growing up. But as you get older, you have a little more freedom to do things because now you make your own money, you know. But then having to accept a no, you have to learn to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I can't do that. I can't go out and buy this thing, and that's okay. Or I can't have this my home be immaculate every time, and that's okay. I can't have dinner cooking right at 5 o'clock, and that's okay. Or, you know, sometimes we're gonna eat mac and cheese, and that's okay. You know, just being content that, you know, some days are gonna be great, some days are gonna be not so great in your homeschool, and that's okay. You know, sometimes the expectations we have of our children to want to do homeschool. Like, aren't you happy that we get to homeschool? Aren't you content that, you know, you don't have to go to school? I know I always throw that one at my children. Like, hey, do you want to go to school? And they don't want to go to school. They want to be homeschooled. They love the idea of homeschool. And why not? Because every day is like Saturday. But we can model that. We don't always get that going in homeschool. Homeschool, no. But, you know, no, you can't play right now. But we're going to do homeschool. Setting a limit and, you know, bypassing expectations, are letting them be okay with not meeting their expectations. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives insight into your heart. It definitely was into mine, and as I was exploring this concept, it just really dawned on me that, hey, this is something I want to address, I want to talk about, and honestly, it's something that just popped up in my reading. So it was pretty interesting that it all came together. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found value. If you found value, please hit that like button. And if you have any questions, any comments, please let me know in the comments below. Connect with me. I'd love to connect with other dads and just get to know you more. And we also have other platforms. You can find me on Instagram at The Dad Schooler. You can listen to a podcast that I have if you want to listen on the go at The Dad Schooler. And if you want to shoot me an email, you can at thedadschooler@gmail.com. Thank you. This is Gabriel Perez, and this is the Dad Schooler YouTube channel.